Welcome to Every Church a Peace Church, a program that promotes the belief that the church can turn the world towards peace if the church lived and taught as Jesus lived and taught. My name is Don Edwards. I'm welcoming you back to another exciting and informative program about peace and about the world. And we have an excellent guest to talk about the peace and the world is Reverend Dr. Samuel Kobia. Let me introduce you to Dr. Kobia. Dr. Kobia is a minister from the Methodist Church of Kenya, and in January of 2004, he assumed a 5-year term as General Secretary for the World Council of Churches, the premier ecumenical organization in the world. And welcome, Dr. Kobia, to Every Church a Peace Church.
Thank you, Don.
I'm honored to have you with us, and I know that you're here for the U.S. Conference of Churches annual meeting, and the Decade Overcoming Violence. We're going to talk about some of the programs about the World Council of Churches. For our viewers who may not be familiar with WCC or the World Council of Churches, share a little bit about what the World Council of Churches is and what is its reach, and particularly perhaps describe some of the initiatives that the World Council of Churches is doing with respect to the present world violence and militarism that we see today.
The World Council of Churches is a global fellowship of churches, currently with a membership of 343 churches from all the parts of the world. Our membership extends to more than 100 countries in the world, and with those churches put together, we are talking of over 550 million Christians who are members of those churches.
Okay.
We are the most comprehensive organization of churches, and so I could say that the World Council of Churches is an organization of the only one of its kind in the whole world. We have the Protestants, the Orthodox, the African independent churches who are members of the World Council of Churches. It was established in 1948 at a time when, following the Second World War, churches came together and, among other things, wanted to see what churches could contribute to peace building in the world, and particularly having come from the war that had claimed the biggest number of human beings at any time in human history. Currently, the World Council of Churches, which has its head office in Geneva, Switzerland, does have a number of programs, but one of those that I would like to mention just now is the initiative we have taken on overcoming violence in the world.
Mm-hmm. You call that the Decade to Overcome Violence.
That's right. The Decade to Overcome Violence was proclaimed by the WCC General Assembly, which took place in Harare, Zimbabwe in 1998. And in the year 2001, in February 2001, the Central Committee of WCC launched the Decade to Overcome Violence. The full title of this program is Decade to Overcome Violence, Churches Seeking Peace and Reconciliation, 2001 to 2010.
Well, and that was started and proclaimed in '98 and started in February of 2001.
That's right.
So before September of 2001.
Yes, it was before September 2001, which shows that it was really prophetic what the churches were doing, because we have seen since September the 11th and the attacks on the USA here, that violence is threatening peace to this world and the lives of people. You only have to read the daily newspapers, watch the television to know how much violence there is in the world, starting from homes to communities to nations and international as well.
Yes. Well, certainly September 11th increased the task and made it more urgent. I think we all in the Christian community look to the Jubilee, the year 2000, as a beginning of a decade to overcome violence. And it's, so far, at this point, it's been a decade marred by violence and authoritarianism and militarism. And it calls for the church to step up.
Right.
And is the church, in your opinion, either the global church, the Christian church, or the American-centered Christian church, is it stepping up to the plate to meet this threat of violence successfully?
Well, the church has no choice but to work for peace, because it is a gospel imperative. Jesus Christ, as the Prince of Peace, was very clear when it came to challenging those who would follow him to seek peace, to make peace, to build peace. And therefore, the churches have to face this challenge. I must say that at the moment, I would say there's a lot more that the churches could do. Now, the World Council of Churches, in the context of the Decade to Overcome Violence, decides to have a focus in one of the regions of the world. In 2002, the focus was Palestine and Israel, especially dealing with the occupation of Palestine. In 2002, the focus, 2003, the focus was Sudan. And what we're trying to do was to contribute to peace talks in Sudan, which has led to signing of 3 protocols, and they are in the final stage of signing the peace agreement. In 2004, the focus is United States of America. We are very well aware that the United States has built a culture of violence in its history.
Yeah, let me suggest that needs to be more than a one-year focus.
Yes, it needs to be more than a one-year focus. And in fact, we want to build on what will have been done during the focus year. Mm-hmm. And in Palestine, for example, from the focus on Palestine, we have started what we call now the Ecumenical Accompaniment for Palestine and Israel, a program that brings together people from different parts of the world to be in Palestine and Israel, so that they are there when when the bombs, bombs explode. They are there when the checkpoints are manned by the Israeli soldiers. They are there to see the women, pregnant women who cannot get to the hospital because they can't be allowed to pass the checks. So what we are saying is that yes, it should be more than just a year, and I hope that in the United States of America, the churches will take this opportunity of being the focus of this decade, where we see people from around the world, churches from around the world, want to be in solidarity with the American churches and American people in your efforts to deal with the violence in this country. Mm-hmm. And that we will see a follow-up of this decade to overcome violence focus on the United States going beyond 2004.
Well, certainly what happens in the United States has consequences everywhere. And if we can crack this particular nut with of American imperialism and violence, and try to disrupt that culture of violence that's to me spreading out with this doctrine of preemptive war and just the globalization, the impacts of the globalization, how it affects violence in so many, affects people in so many violent ways. What, as a global person, based in Switzerland, which is kind of a global community, you're an African, you travel around the planet in your capacity of leading 500 million Christians, which is a daunting responsibility. Right. Of course, you don't do it by yourself. But how is the American church? Is it viewed differently? Are American Christians viewed differently? Or what's the comment that you hear from outside of the United States about the state of the church in America, or whether or not it needs to be more proactive, or perhaps Christians need to be more proactive or courageous in exempling the gospel?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Don, as you said, I travel a lot. I travel to all the parts of the world. And what I do when I travel is to listen to what the churches are saying, towards the leaders of different countries of the world are saying. And one thing that I can say for sure is that many people are afraid of the United States of America today. And they're afraid because the United States is the only superpower in the world. The policies of the United States have implications for people in all the world. When the leadership of the United States makes statements that seem to be intimidating, that you are either with us or you are with the terrorists, that statement does not help anybody.
Yes.
Because what it does is to intimidate people. And therefore, instead of United States of America being respected by the rest of the world, it is feared.
Yes.
The rest of the world expects the United States to be more understanding, to use its power in a way that it can help to bring about peace and freedom in the world. But actually, contrary to what the leadership of America might think, what is happening today, the unilateralism, the preemptive action that has been taken, make people fear United States and feel that it's increasing insecurity in the world rather than reducing insecurity in the world.
And that's kind of the sadness that many American citizens feel, is that, you know, our resources, what we could offer to the world, is so much. But what we are offering to the world is so much violence and so little of all of the good things that we can offer.
That's very true. And I must say, Don, that United States has so much to offer, including, you have also a history of nonviolence.
Yes.
As a way of dealing with the problems here. The work that Dr. Martin Luther King did in this country has inspired so many people around the world. The 1960s and the 70s were the years when United States sent out young people as a Peace Corps.
Yes.
I myself, I was taught by Peace Corps when I was in high school. And so there was a lot of admiration, there was a lot of love, there was a lot of respect for America at that time. All this is now being eroded completely. And therefore, there are many people who even used to look at America as the ideal for them. Today, they are saying that is no longer the case. So what I'm saying is that really the churches in the United States have a tremendous responsibility to help this country to understand how the rest of the world sees you and how the rest of the world would like to see you relate to them.
Yes. During the course of some of the proceedings during the meeting with the United States Conference, some of the workshops, one comment that was particularly affected me was one of the participants in the workshop said that, you know, in her church, her minister feels that talking peace is being partisan, and so he doesn't he doesn't want to be divisive and be partisan. So the notion of raising up the notion of the gospel of peace is pushed away and not dealt with. And I think that's the plague. That's what's plaguing, I think, the American church. There's enough sound Christians here in this country that indeed the church could turn the world towards peace if the church lived and taught and Jesus lived and taught. But many of the leadership of the church is not doing that because they don't want to be divisive or partisan. And that troubles me.
Yes.
Because if you're going to be leading the church, then you must lead it in the way that Jesus led his church.
Yes.
With courage, with the notion that that those who live by the sword will perish by the sword, and the basic tenet that we need to love our neighbors.
Right.
That aspect of the core aspect of the Christian doctrine is not the aspect that all churches are following, and I think all Christian churches need to follow that. Is that something that you agree with?
Yes, I agree. I agree with you, and I agree that Christians have no choice if they want to be Christians, the followers of Jesus Christ. They have no choice but to work to not only to preach peace, but to work for peace. Jesus Christ said that blessed are the peacemakers.
Yes.
Peacemakers all the time, in season and out of season. He didn't say peacemakers sometimes.
Yes.
So the Christians have to be peacemakers wherever and whenever there is violence, when there is no peace, and therefore we have to work for peace all the time, and not to fear that we might be considered as partisan, because there is no being partisan if, as a Christian, you are doing what Jesus Christ said we have to do. Now, Jesus Christ and the gospel of Jesus Christ that we propagate.
Yes.
Is very, very clear when it comes to the charge and the commandment that we have to work for peace. Yeah. But of course, we are also building on what even the prophets before Jesus Christ had said. Because in this world, unless there is peace, it is very difficult to achieve the fullness of life that Jesus Christ said, I came so that all might have life and have it more abundantly. And without peace, we have seen how much human beings and the human beings' life can be reduced to an empty and meaningless life.
Yes. Well, you know, if the Christian church is to be the light unto the world, it must take a stand that might make us uncomfortable in the sense that we may have to sacrifice, we may have to suffer, because the opposition to good is evil, and the evil is that's in the world many times covers itself with a gloss of good. They try to make what's evil good, what's evil patriotic, what's evil American, what's evil the nationalistic. and they cover it with that, and one has to peel back those types of layers to really uncover that when you're a nation as mighty as we are, that we still must walk humbly, as Jesus walked humbly, and still must not do evil in return for evil.
Right.
Which is part of the gospel.
Yeah, that's the part of the gospel. Jesus said, love your enemies, love those who hate you. And, you know, love is the most important weapon that we have of turning people around. But unfortunately, we live in a world where violence has achieved its own logic. There's a logic of violence, and many states in the world today would be out of business if there was no violence to deal with.
Talk to me about that logic of violence, because tell me about that.
Yes, because there are those who say that, look, human beings are such that they have to be violent, and therefore we have to prepare ourselves because we know that we are likely to be attacked by others, and therefore we have to arm ourselves to the teeth because violence is part of life. That is one theory that we have in the world that has continued to make war be seen as inevitable, to the extent that we talk, even as Christians, some sections of the church justify war. But if there was no logic, inbuilt logic of violence, then we would have no way of justifying war. And this logic of violence clearly says that since human beings are by nature prone to violence, since human beings by nature will want to dominate, and therefore we must be prepared ourselves so that we are not taken unawares by others. And therefore within this logic we see that even Christians sometimes, even churches sometimes bless countries when they are going to war. I think this is not the way the gospel of Jesus should be interpreted.
As Christians, if we are reflecting the image of God, then everyone reflects the image of God, not just Americans or not just the coalition forces.
Absolutely.
Or not just our side, but every side reflects the image of God, and that's the image that is love. There is inherent in the human, I think in life, every life, an element of love. And we have not cultivated that love. We have not, maybe it's because the adherence of the logic of violence will not permit it, cannot afford it, for us to talk about the inherency of love in life and living. But I believe that human beings can connect in love with each other. I think that's the way that we are supposed to go.
That's correct.
That's the way we are. We may have not gotten there, and obviously we haven't, but that's the way we should go.
Exactly.
And if we don't go that way, we're going the wrong way.
Correct. And what we should be doing, therefore, is exactly what you have said, Don, to say that if we consider every human person to be created in the image of God, because God said, let's create human beings after our own likeness. He didn't say, let's create Americans in our own likeness, but not Arabs in our own likeness. Or let's create Europeans in our own likeness and not Africans in our own likeness. All human beings. And therefore, in every single individual person, there is the likeness of God in that person. And since God is all good, then we must agree that in every person there is that God God in that person, and therefore we should relate to that person in a different way than we do today. And I think that's the biggest challenge we face in the world today. Humanity has achieved so much in the area of science, in the area of technology, in communications, but when it comes to relating to each other, that's the most difficult thing that we have to do. So to relate to each other with the respect and the love that we are supposed to have, because God is in every person. Yes. That's where we should be going. And it's true, we are very far away from there, but that's why we must double our efforts to get there.
We're far away, but we can take steps to the point where, small measure steps, where we just choose diplomacy over war, choose talking it out instead of violence. We can make those steps. And we can do that now. We're about to wrap up. Anything else that you'd like to offer in terms of what the World Council of Churches is doing?
Well, I would like to say that the World Council of Churches would want to network different churches, communities of people who are working for peace. And in this respect, I would like to say that the World Council of Churches wants to recognize you as because of the work that you have done within every church, a peace church, and we want to present an award to you that recognizes this work. This is what we call Blessed Are the Peacemakers Award, given by the World Council of Churches as a recognition to individuals, to communities, and to churches that have done something to work for peace. And therefore, I'm very pleased to present this award to you, Don.
Oh, thank you, Doctor. I appreciate that very much. This comes as a blessing to me. I accept it on behalf of all those peacemakers, including yourself.
Thank you very much.
Who have done so much towards the concept of expanding Jesus' gospel of peace, compassion, and love. Thank you so much. This is a wonderful blessing to me.
Thank you. You deserve it. You have done so much, and we want to encourage you to continue to work for peace, not only in the United States, but in the whole world.
Bless your mission. I know you've got 4 more years of leading 500 million Christians, so good luck on that task.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank all of you for being with us today. I want you to seek peace, find peace, and be peace. Thank you for joining us.
How long will it take till we realize we made a big mistake? You turned our back on us. And how long